Okay, hi everybody. First match I'm doing is me versus Josh in Grand Finals. Um, when I was analyzing this one earlier, I started off by stopping the video at every time someone got hit and, looking at why they got hit, what they got hit by, what they could have done instead. Um, but that took a very long time. That took like an hour just to get through the first game of this set. And I have 4.5 pages of notes on it here in front of me. So I'm not going to do that for the whole set, and I'm definitely not doing that for every match I look at. Uh, but I might do it for the first game, or maybe the first couple rounds or so, because that is how you should be doing this for yourself. And you should be doing this for yourself. Every time you lose a match, and you don't know why you lost, it's not clear to you, then you need to go get the replay. You need to sit down, play it back, and every time you get hit, you need to ask yourself why you got hit, what you got hit by. Did you let something go unpunished? Were they abusing something that you didn't know the answer to? This is how you patch those holes in your game, how you learn matchups, and basically how you get better. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but it's what you need to do to really start to get better. So, yeah, maybe I'll just do that until I get tired of it, I guess, or until it stops being interesting, and then for the rest of the games, I'm just going to do more of a broad overview, look at how things change, the key things that influence the match, the key things that each player is doing that they shouldn't be doing, things that they aren't doing that they should be doing, and other big picture things like that. Alright, let's get started. I'm playing the video back at half speed so that I can follow things a little bit better. Josh starts the round with Tenko. Tenko is -10 on block, so I didn't know this at the time, but I can actually punish this very hard. I could do my max damage punish, non-crush counter punish, which is stand heavy kick, stand light kick, cancelled into uppercut, and that's, I don't know, probably around 300 damage. Assuming this would have hit, he might have been able to juggle it with her back kick special, and that might have gotten him 200 damage, so I don't really like this opener. It brings up the concept of risk versus reward. The reward for him hitting this was maybe 200 damage. The risk for him not hitting it, assuming I know how to punish it properly, which, to be fair, I don't in this match, but there are people who do. The risk is him eating a 300 damage or more punish. If this was a different situation, if I had bar, I could cancel that into super and make it a 500 damage punish. So I don't really like this move. I don't see the purpose behind it. I don't know what he was looking for, what he expected me to do. Maybe he just wanted to catch me walking forward or something, but there's really no data for him to be making, this kind of bet on. It's the start of the first game. This is where you need to be taking in data. You need to be looking at what the other guy is doing and then base decisions off that. You don't want to be random. You don't want to just do things and hope they work. And also, you don't want to be, making super hard reads without anything to back them up with. And that's assuming this was some kind of hard read. But on that note, you want every button press to have some kind of purpose. When you watch the pros play, every single time they press a button, there's a reason behind it. They're not just doing stuff and hoping it works. They're not, throwing shit at the wall. They know what they're doing because they've thought about the situation that they're in before, and they've thought about what is the best thing they can do, what is the best thing the opponent can do, and so on. So you've got to have some kind of reason behind all of your buttons, and if you don't have a reason for doing something, then don't do it, because it might catch the other guy by surprise, but you're not actually beating them in that sense. You're just kind of doing random shit and it's getting them. But that's not going to beat somebody who knows how to block and punish, is what I'm saying. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, I do a real shit job of punishing that, but it could have been way worse. Okay, so you'll notice that in this match, I do a lot of jumping, and the reason is, I don't really respect Josh's defense in this match. I'm assuming that, you know, eventually I'm going to get in just by jumping, because, not because I think Josh is garbage or anything, but because I don't think he's good enough with Karin to properly defend against that, because it's hard to do with Karin. She has a tough time anti-airing. Her only real options are stand heavy punch and uppercut if she has the bar, but otherwise it's stand heavy punch and air to airs. And so I play a lot of this match in the air because I figure he can't be 100% with that. Eventually I'm going to get in for free, and then I'm going to be able to start my offense. This tournament I've been playing a lot more offensively than I normally do because the whole week before I was practicing my offense. I was practicing confirms off of light normals and stuff like that. So I'm playing a little more stupid and a little more dumb than I usually do. But that's something you got to be able to deal with. You've got to be able to deal with people jumping all around you and stuff. And to be fair, Josh does a pretty good job of it. I was actually surprised. He was pretty consistent with his air-to-air denials, and he didn't do much from the ground, but specifically air-to-air, he was doing a pretty good job of shutting me down. Okay, here he blocks a fireball pretty close range. Fireballs are -7, so at this range I'm pretty sure he could have actually done a crouch medium kick as a punish. It looks like I'm in the range for it, so I'm pretty sure he could have pressed crouch medium kick, canceled it into whatever, and that would have been a punish, not, hoping I pressed something after the fireball. It would have been a raw punish. I just would have had to eat that. Fireballs are really not good in this game. They're very negative on block, and if you ever block one up close like this, punish it. If you don't know what your frame data is and you don't know which button you can press, number one, go learn it. But number two, if you feel like it's too late for you to punish it or you're not comfortable doing it or something, then at the very least, walk up and start your offense. Because Ryu has 7 frames here where he can't do anything. He's recovering. And in those 7 frames, Karin can walk up and start whatever kind of pressure she wants. It's now her turn, solidly. But instead, Josh backdashes. So that's just an example of not being familiar with the frame data, not paying attention to the situation, not thinking about the concept of turns. I don't know what he was running away from. I think he wanted to block my jump-ins, not block them, but air-to-air them. I think he saw me jumping a lot, and so he wanted to specifically shut down that game. But when you have the opportunity to take the advantage and start an offense, you need to do that. The only way you can win is by doing damage, and so there's a difference between playing patiently, playing solidly, anti-airing everything, having a good solid defense, and just turtling, not ever taking advantage of any opportunities that you get. Playing solid is being patient and waiting for the right times for you to go in. Not just sitting there and waiting for them to do something like, I don't know, whiff an uppercut and then do a punish and then just repeat until they do it again. You've got to, when it is your time to move in and start an offense, you've got to know, first of all, you've got to know when those times are, and you've got to actually do it. You can't be perfectly defensive all the time. So right here, you'll notice that at this spacing, this is the perfect spacing for Josh to do heavy punch overhead. And I recognize that, and I know that Josh likes to do it raw. So I'm over here just buffering uppercut. I'm trying to stay in this spacing. You'll notice I'm walking with Josh. Either if Josh walks back, I walk forward to maintain the spacing. If he walks in, then I'm walking back a bit. But more importantly, each time I think he might do it, I'm buffering an uppercut. And if it ever comes out, that way if it ever comes out, I'm ready to punish it. I'll just rewind so you can see that. You see me move forward and then crouch a bit. Instead, Josh seems to be thinking about how to approach. He's not sure if I'm going to jump or what I'm going to do. And so he tries to close the distance a little bit and then go for a V-skill. I think that's just another example of things you can do that work most of the time. It's playing Karin, you know? What's the reward for hitting a V-skill? I don't know, you push me away a bit. You know, I take a little bit of damage, I get knocked back. But that's not what he's thinking about, I don't think. I think he's just thinking this is a fairly, low risk thing because it's, I don't know, I think like -1 on block. And so if I block it, not a big deal. If I get hit by it, then, that's good. But there are better things you could be doing than just a raw V skill. Because especially at this spacing, I could punish this. I don't think I do, but I could sweep here and punish him for it. But you want to have a more rewarding offense, I guess is what I'm saying. Like when you're neutral with Karin, you have really good buttons. And a lot of them are special cancelable. Stand heavy punch, stand heavy kick, crouch medium kick. They're all very good buttons and they all cancel into specials. And they all outrange Ryu. So rather than doing V-skill from mid-screen, you need to play the actual neutral game, which is playing footsies. You need to try to get Ryu to press a button and then punish it, or you need to get into the range where your normals will hit and his won't, and then just bully him, because there's not a lot he can do. V-skill doesn't really get you anything. I'm going to guess he does it because he doesn't really know how to play that kind of neutral game, but that's something you gotta work on. If anyone watching this feels like they're in the same boat, go watch Juicebox's video on footsies. It's pretty good, and it explains basically everything you need to know. The rest is practice. 90% of it is practice, but there is that 10% of knowledge you need to have. Okay, right here, after that uppercut, Josh should be punishing way harder. I don't know what Karin's crush counter punishes, but I'm sure she has one, and I'm sure it's more damaging than what he's doing now. It's not really hard to react to uppercuts when you block them and react with a crush counter punish, so it's not really much of an excuse for that. You've got to have that. You've got to be... That's just the most basic example of optimizing your damage. If someone whiffs an uppercut, you need to punish that with the biggest combo you have, and that's usually a crush counter punish. Sweep on my wake up, it's another example of something that, it's something that worked in this case, but it's still not really in his favor in terms of risk reward. If I block that sweep, that's gotta be like -10 or so. I can punish that pretty hard. Not right now, because I don't have that much bar, but even still, if he's trying to catch me low, crouching medium kick is much better, because you can cancel that into a special, and it's not negative on block. Or if it is negative, it's not minus, a million, like sweep is. So why go for the sweep when you can go for crouch medium kick? It's better reward, it's less risk. These are just small ways to improve your play. Don't go for the short-term benefit of getting a knockdown from the sweep go for the damage and the setup you get from getting a full combo, you know? This too. I guess the idea was I just got hit by 2 sweeps on my wake up, so now he's going to go for an overhead, expecting me to block high, or block low. But this thing is, just as negative as a sweep. And if he wanted to punish me for blocking low, then he should have done the regular overhead. That would get me thinking, okay, I need to block high, and that sets up the high-low mix-up. But doing this, it's just bad risk-reward. The reward for it is a little bit of damage. The risk is a full punish, which I think this is another thing that I just don't punish well, but if he's playing against someone better than me, they're going to punish this really hard. So you can't be doing these things that are so risky and, mediocre in terms of the reward. Yeah, see, I just punished with a V reversal, which I guess wasn't awful because I was close to stun, and V reversals reduce the amount of stun, but it would have been just much better for me to have punished that with a combo. Okay, so now that I get my turn on offense, here I start with the neutral jumps on his wake up, which I think I said before we will be seeing a lot of. And how does Josh respond to it the first time? Okay, he just blocks because he wasn't really expecting it. I noticed that he blocks, and so I go for the throw. And now I'm in his face again. And this is the basic way offense goes. You get one thing and it leads into the next thing. I think Josh isn't teching on his wake ups, so he's making it really easy to do that. There are times you don't want to tech, usually when you're playing against Mika and some other characters, but if you're letting every knockdown be a hard knockdown, then it's going to be heavily in the favor of the guy who is pressuring, because he gets time to think about what he's going to do, he gets time to set things up. If I had done a back throw and you just don't quick get up, even then I have time to get over to you. But since I'm doing forward throws, I'm already in your face, and I get time to think about what I'm going to do next. I get time to shimmy a little bit to make you afraid. I'm not saying tech all the time, I'm just saying mix it up a little bit. So this time he tried to jump. So I'm thinking that he expected me to neutral jump again, and so he wanted to air it because that's his answer to it. So I did meaty thinking he was going to do something. I didn't re-jump, but I did think he was going to do something. I didn't think he was going to block again, because I just neutral jumped and then I threw. I was expecting something other than block. If I had timed my meaty a little bit better, I wouldn't hit him out of the air like I did there. I would just hit him on the ground in his pre-jump frames. And then my fireball would have comboed, but I knock him out of the air, and then the fireball is going to whiff. And then, because of that whiff, he gets a chance here to do something pretty damaging and start his offense again. He gets the crouching medium kick, but then he goes into Tenko. I don't know if this actually combos. I don't know if he dropped it or if it just doesn't combo. If it is a combo and he's dropping it, execution errors happen, but you got to try to minimize those. If it doesn't combo, go for the combo. Go into your legs or whatever. I'm pretty sure this goes unpunished as well, though. Yeah, so it's all fine. You see I jump because, like I said earlier, I'm just trying to start my offense. I'm not really giving him much credit in terms of his anti-airs, but he's doing a pretty good job of shutting me down so far. Okay, I backdashed that time because at this point I'm thinking he's getting pressured and he wants to uppercut. But he's being patient, so good on him. Okay, that was kind of weird. He did random Rekka, and it hit, but he had already committed to backing off. So why do it if you are already committing yourself to backing off? You know, you do it, and either you expect it to hit, which is why you do it, and so then you go into a, a proper punish, or not a proper punish, a proper combo, and then continue your offense. Or you do it and you're not expecting it to work, so you back off. But then why do it in the first place? If he had confirmed it, if he had saw that I blocked it and then backed off, I'd get it because that's a confirm. But in this case, it hit, but he blocked anyway. He backed off anyway. So it wasn't a confirm. He had already committed to backing off. So it's just another thing where, like, why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you doing Rekka if you're just going to back off whether or not it hits, And the answer to that is because he doesn't have a neutral game. No offense, but, if you don't know how to play with your normals, you start resorting to random Rekkas and Tenkos and stuff. You've got to learn how to use your buttons in neutral so that you're not doing that stuff. The proper thing to do in that scenario was play footsies, play the actual neutral game. Walk into my button ranges, walk out, see if I start to press them, and then whiff punish them, This DP, I just missed that. That wasn't random, that was a reaction, because I started to notice that, okay, at neutral, if he's not going to do the overhead, then he's going to do random tacos. He's not playing footsies. So I'm just going to wait for him to do it, and then I'm going to uppercut. So I was already buffering the uppercut once we got back out to that spacing right here, and as soon as I see him start to move here, you see that was the forward input, then I'm about to crouch and uppercut. Okay, so I neutraled up again on his wake up because I'm testing his options, testing how he deals with his lack of options, rather, seeing if he's ever going to do stand heavy punch or some other option. He goes for EX uppercut. I know that he didn't know that whiffs because he talked about it during the match, but that does not work. Her uppercut goes too far horizontally for that to work. As long as I time my jumps properly, I'm going to dodge that uppercut every single time. So that just, neutral jumps against Karin are really strong on her wake up, and there is an answer to it, but you've got to know it, and you've got to be able to, pay attention to the other guy enough to know that he's going to keep doing that, so that you're ready to do the option that beats it. So there, I figured he'd just spend bar and an uppercut. He's not going to do another one, and lately he's been either jumping or pressing buttons on his wake up. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a meaty, and the risk reward for that was, the reward is I win the game because I combo. The risk is he blocks it, or he does another uppercut or something. If he does another uppercut, then I still have life left, so it's fine. But the risk I was thinking about was he just blocks it, and in that case, we're neutral. That's 0 on block, so we're back to neutral. Okay, so I'm still jumping, because I'm just kind of not being smart. I'm just trying to start my offense. And he does have his stand heavy punch anti-air ready, so good on him. You see me buffering again now that we're at this spacing. I'm waiting for, random Tenko, random overhead, whatever. And then I just jump into another sand heavy punch. So you see now, he's anti-aired me enough that I'm playing on the ground now. I'm not being quite as dumb about getting in. I'm using my normals, I'm staying on the ground, and I'm slowly, patiently moving in. You notice that I start dashing there, and that's because I noticed that he wasn't pressing anything on the ground. If we go back a little bit, back here-ish, I'm just pressing buttons and slowly walking forward, walking back and forth a little bit, trying to catch something, but I'm walking, I'm never dashing. It's not till right there when I recognize that he's not pressing anything. He's not even trying to whiff punish my normals, so that's my cue to just start dashing in. Right now he's looking for me to jump, and so rather than jump, I'm just going to dash in. You see right there, that jump was meant to be an air-to-air. He guessed that I was going to jump there, and so he preemptively did a jump kick. But I've been on the ground this whole time, and I'm going to continue to stay on the ground because I know he's looking for that. To his credit, those meaty sweeps do keep getting me, so I mean, if that's working, then I guess keep doing it, but still, if that's working, then crouch medium kick would work, and it would be even better for him. I think he tried to jump. I didn't get a counter hit, but he still got hit by it, so I'm thinking he tried to jump there. Just going with the neutral jumps, seeing if he can handle it. So you hit him with 2 air-to-ground normals, and then on the 3rd time, he's not pressing any buttons, so throw him. Jumping over him right there was a bad decision by me. This whole time I'm trying really hard to land my jump light kick because, I spent a week practicing my confirms after it, so I'm really trying to get it to work for me here, but it's not working at all, and I just should have stopped. Putting myself in the corner here was a really bad idea. I lost all my advantage, basically. And that anti-air we just saw, after I jumped in, I jump in, he doesn't do a quick wake up, so my jump in's going to whiff. And so then I say, okay, well, he's getting up now, I'm going to neutral jump, but Josh is ready for that, he does an air-to-air, and now he has advantage. He throws me, and now I'm the one on defense. He has me in the corner, he has advantage, he has full bar, this is a very bad situation for me. That's the mix-up. So he has me feeling pressured here because I just got thrown 3 times in a row. So he's blocking. I guess he expected me to uppercut, but I didn't want to do something that risky because I knew I would lose if it didn't work. So the less risky option was to just jump back. If he tried to throw me again, I was going to get away from it. if he did buttons, it would have beaten my jump. So it still was not a good option, but you know, I was panicked, so I just wanted to get away from him. He did a neutral jump there. He should have, if he wanted to punish that jump back, he should have either did an uppercut or did stand heavy punch or jump towards normal, not neutral. So I jump out. The one time it was really important for him to deny me from jumping, you know, because letting me get out, that could make things really dangerous for him. That could, you know, he's in the corner now, so if I play my cards right, then that could be the move that wins me the match. Risk reward for that, I mean, if it hit, then he wins. So in that case, I think that's fine. Especially since I demonstrated that I haven't really been punishing it hard. Okay, right there, again, I was just waiting for him to do something, because every single round now he has done something at the start. So, of course I'm going to buffer my uppercut. And again, it's not a hard read, necessarily. I'm not going all in on it. I'm not mashing it at the start, just hoping it works. I'm at the very start of the game, I'm looking for the first couple frames of her moving, and then I know that he did something, and so then I'm doing the uppercut. It's still a read, it's just, there's a difference between a super hard read where it's basically just a guess, and yeah, it may be an educated guess, but you're still just putting a lot of faith in it working, and then there are reads where you're expecting something, you verify that it's happening, and then you punish, and that's the kind of read that was. So there, I'm trying to punish Tenko better, but I did that way too late. That should have worked, but I did it way late. And another instance where he probably should have did a crush counter punish. I mean, he's going to get super after this, but it could have been even more damage if he did something with a crush counter. So now I'm at the spacing again. I'm expecting overhead, so you'll see me buffering uppercut again, trying to maintain the spacing, and this time I'm throwing some fireballs because I noticed that he hasn't been doing it just raw, he's been waiting for a fireball to do it over, so now I throw a couple, but then continue to buffer uppercut just in case he does it late. Or as a prediction. I throw the fireball, I confirm that he's trying to go over it, and I uppercut. You've got to, at that spacing, you've got to do that preemptively. Okay, I go for the meaty, it doesn't work out, but it's even on block. So what Josh tried to do, after he blocked that, was crouch medium kick, which you can see from the first 3 frames here. See, that is a crouch medium kick. But this is another example of why knowing frame data is important. That move is 0 on block, so that means that if I put out a 4-frame light punch, that's going to beat any move that he does that's not 4 frames or faster. Well, it's going to trade with moves that are 4 frames and beat anything that's slower than 4 frames. Crouching medium kick is 6 frames from startup, I think, so I get a counter hit. Then I'm jumping again. But the idea is you need to know, especially for moves like that, moves that characters always go back to. You know, back heavy kick is a very popular meaty for Ryu players because it's so easy to confirm. So you got to know what that is on block and what you can do after you block it. Still no answer to the neutral jump. He just didn't really know what to do about it during the match, I guess, so we're not really going to see him change things up too much, because you can't just keep neutral jumping along with me because you'll get meatied, and so that's too risky. And then I whiff my throw here. I do it too early. Checking me with jabs, that's good. Crouch light punch is +2 on block. My crouch light punch is. So if I go for a tick throw or something, I have Karin's crouch light punch is 3 frames. So that means there's 5 frames there. So if I perfectly time my tick throw, like if I do it meaty, if I do that throw meaty, his jab will still beat me out of it. So you've got it. 3-frame normals are very important in this game. If you have one, you need to know about it, and you need to know when to use it. Shutting me down with the air airs. Yeah, can't uppercut that. Every single time he does that, I will screw up the punish because I keep thinking that, well, that was the first time I tried doing stand heavy kick as a crush counter punish. It whiffs, and I haven't actually gone into the lab and tested this yet. But it seems like you can't punish it with that. She just seems to get down in time before you can actually start up your stand heavy kick. Every other time this happens, I tried doing it with different timings, tried doing it a little bit faster, but it never works out for me. For that whole second round there, I threw him a lot on his wake up, because I guess because he was afraid of meaties, but you've got to tech eventually. You can't just get thrown to death. Okay, so again, he's doing something at the start of the round, and I'm ready with uppercut. I think he tried to crouch medium kick there again. Crouch medium punch is 5 frames on startup, so that's going to win. At this point, I'm not even bothering with punishing Tenko. Just going to uppercut through the string. I tried to meaty, but it was too late, so I got thrown out of it. Looking for stuff again here. Doing some fireball fakes on my hitbox. I do crouch jab into throw a lot. In fact, I wasn't really frame trapping at all after crouch jab, so Josh really should have been trying to interrupt or tech every single time I did crouch jab on his wake up. Or anytime I did crouch jab, period. Was that a sweep that he tried to do back here? Yeah, it was. Josh's neutral game consists mostly of Rekka's sweep and V-skill. That's basically it. Karin has really good buttons, so you've got to learn how to use them. Yeah, I failed to punish again. Crouch jab is something he's not doing enough. Like I said, 3-frame normals are very important, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing that he could shut down with a 3-frame jab, you know, as long as it's well placed. I'm actually really surprised that that leg kick whiffed, but he seemed to know that it was going to, and immediately went down back to block the low I went for, so if that was intentional, good job. Yeah, I'm just getting him with a lot of throws. I'm not really positive why he's not trying to tech anything. I don't remember doing like jump short and then meaty or anything. I'm not doing much in the way of frame traps, I don't think. Maybe I just haven't been paying enough attention to what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I was not frame trapping much at all. So you just gotta tech. Or jab. There I was expecting him to do something on the ground again, but he jumped, and even though uppercut still would have worked, I just, it was one of those things where I didn't get what I was predicting, and so I just hesitated. I like that more. He went crouch jab into crouching medium kick. Crouch jab is probably like +2, so that was probably a 4-frame gap there. Excuse me. So that was pretty good. Had I been pressing buttons there, he would have gotten me. Didn't work out though. I'm buffering again. Tried to anti-air that, but spacing is off. That's something to talk about. Whenever I play, I try to... Well, first, your anti-air changes depending on the spacing. If you're Ryu, for example, uppercut works for a lot of spacings. Pretty much anything between the range they can cross you up and the range at which the round starts. But for things further out, you've got to use stand heavy kick. For things closer up, you've got to do jump back fierce or something. Other characters have more difficult options. You know, not everyone has an uppercut, so they've got to use their normals. Like Chun in Street Fighter 4, you didn't want to spend all your bar on EX Spinning Bird, so you had to learn how to anti-air with your normals, and she had, like, there was not an anti-air button for Chun. All of your buttons were anti-air buttons, and it just depended on the spacing. So the way I try to stay consistent with it is every time I change spacing, I just make a mental note to myself, okay, this is my anti-air now. If I say jump, this is what I do. That range is kind of weird, where like if they stick out a button, the uppercut can catch them, depending on which button they press, but if they do nothing, it's gonna whiff. So at that range I should have done stand heavy kick. He jumps over me, and puts himself near the corner, and so then he realizes that that was bad, and so he jumps out. I think he's trying to cross me up, but his spacing is off for it. It would have been better if he had just walked me closer to the corner and then pressured me on my wake up. That was an empty jump low, which is kind of tricky. It wasn't really like you often see that stuff as a jump in or something. That was more of like a he jumped away from me, and then obviously he wasn't going to hit a button in the air because he wasn't jumping at me, but then he still caught me low with that crouch medium kick. Yeah, so he sweeps again, which basically just gives me the turn, it gives me advantage. And so I decided to jump, and I do my jump short early, so that is going to be his air to air. And then I'm in his face, and I throw him again, because he hasn't been decking. That time, I shimmy him a little bit, and this should confirm it to super. Yeah, so the idea there was, I've been throwing him, the past 3 rounds. This time, I have bar. I'm up a round, so I'm going to try to bait him into teching now. Go for the meaty, and if it doesn't work, then whatever. I just lose my pressure. We're back to neutral, and I have to get advantage again. But if it works, then I get super, and he's going to be near dead, and I'm going to be very close to winning. So that's what made that decision for me. The reward of this hitting was high, and the risk was low, because I have 2 games in a round up on him. Buffering again, and there it is. See, now he's not waiting for a fireball. At this point, he's getting desperate. He knows that he's almost dead. He's about to lose, so that's why he went for it that time. I'm doing all these jumps now because I'm expecting a wake-up super. V reversal, because why not keep him in the corner? Throw there because I got so much gray damage on him from the V reversal that, yeah, it's possible that he would have done something and I could have gotten him with a jump normal. And sure, throws aren't the most damaging thing in the world, but I'm positive that empty jump throw was not the first thing he was looking for. And so, if that hit, not only would I get the damage from the throw, but I'd get that gray life too. So that's an example of doing what's going to work. There are things that would be ideal, like if I did a jump heavy punch and that hit, that would be ideal because then I could combo and then end the round. But of course, he knows that would be ideal, so he's not going to let me just land that jump heavy punch. So you do the thing that isn't ideal, but it's going to work. And in that case, that would be the empty jump throw. Thinking about it now, it would have been even better if I did empty jump low and then confirmed into uppercut. That would have been much more damage, and in fact, that probably would have won me the game right there. Kind of an anticlimactic way to win, but he's pressing buttons. I really thought he was going to super there, but he didn't, so props to him for that. Because it would not have worked when I was jumping like that. So yeah, final thoughts. Josh, he doesn't really play against the other person. He suffers from an issue that a lot of people who are still learning suffer from, and that is they get their character and they learn what their character does, what their character is supposed to do, or what works with their character against, a lot of people, and then they just form that into a strategy and apply it to everybody. And if it works against somebody, good, they win. If it doesn't work, then they lose. And that's just how it is. He's not playing against me. He's not adapting outside of anti-airing with his air-to-airs. He's not really adapting to what I'm doing. We see that with all the throws I did. He wasn't really teching. The whole time he was just waiting for me to jump. He wasn't sure of when I was going to jump, and he wasn't adjusting when I stopped jumping and I started playing on the ground. When he noticed that, well, first of all, he should have noticed that, because you should be paying attention to what the other guy's doing and the changes in their play. And so, when you notice that, you stop looking for the jump in and you have to start playing on the ground. But he wasn't doing that. He was just doing the stuff he usually does with Karin. He was playing pretty patiently, at least, on his wake up. There weren't many wake up uppercuts. I mean, there were a few, but I think that was because he was trying to see if he could beat the neutral jump with it. He didn't wake up super, like I said, so he was definitely doing his best, I think, but it doesn't matter if you're not going to play against the other person. You have to play against me, not against Ryu, and definitely don't want to just play Karin. You don't want to do Karin stuff. You have to do Karin stuff that's going to work. Karin stuff that beats the stuff that the Ryu player is doing. So, I mean, doing that is easier said than done, for sure. It takes a lot of practice. You have to get comfortable with a lot of situations, and there's a lot of things you have to learn before you're able to do that. There were a lot of things I was doing that he just didn't have the answer to, specifically in neutral, because he doesn't know how to play the neutral game. He doesn't really understand footsies that well, or at least he's not applying it. So some of the first things he needs to do is, one, get a crush counter punish and use it. I'm almost positive Karin has one. If she doesn't have one, then whatever, ignore it. But if she has one, start using it. Start learning how to play the basics of the neutral game. So go look up Juicebox's explanation of footsies and take those techniques and concepts and actually practice them. Go into training mode and set a character to whiff some normals and learn how to whiff punish them. Then learn the basics of offense, which is basically don't do meaty sweep. Start with the basic throw meaty mix-up. So if you knock someone down, walk up to them and throw them. Next time they're going to want to tech. So do meaty crutch medium punch and confirm that. If it hits, then confirm it to a combo. If they block it, then depending on the frame data, which I don't know right now, but if you're plus on that or only a little bit minus, then go up and throw them. Do a tick throw. That's better than meaty sweep. Pressing buttons in neutral is better than doing random recas. Look at your risk reward. Don't do things that are... Think about the risk you're taking with certain things, and think about the reward you're getting. If you're not getting a good reward for the risk you're taking, then don't do that. Do something that has a better reward for the risk you're taking. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff to work on. It's definitely a good start, I think. So work on your max damage punishes. Go watch that video that Juicebox put out, and think about your risk reward.